I hope you're all having a wonderful day and welcome to my channel. For today's tutorial, I am so excited to show you guys this eye look I created using, drumroll please, the new Frozen palettes from Colourpop. They collaborate with Disney on these palettes, and there is an Anna palette and there's also an Elsa palette as well. So I'll show you guys what these look like. This one is all cool tones. I absolutely love it. I used these two shades underneath the eyes because I wanted to create an eye look with both of them together because these sisters are meant to be together, and that's why I wanted to use both palettes. But the majority of the time I'm spending using the Anna palette here. I'm using these basically 4 colors to create this eyeshadow look. And if you guys are interested in just using this palette to do the entire look, I do explain what colors to use underneath the eyes so that you don't have to use the Elsa palette. I just thought it'd be fun to do both of them together. So the tutorial is for this eyeshadow look. I do want to mention, because I know a lot of you guys are new to my channel, that my tutorials are a little bit more detailed than most other videos that you might see. I realized about a year or so ago that when I create more detailed videos, people really liked that because they really wanted to know what I was doing and why I was doing that. So there was a big focus on that, and that's why I do take some time to explain that, and my videos are a little bit longer, but I promise you that they will be more beginner friendly because I take the time to explain what I'm doing and show you guys the entirety of the process, rather than just like skipping over some parts that I think are pretty crucial. So it will be a little bit longer tutorial, but I promise you it's worth it. So I feel like that's everything. Also, saw the movie, it's great. No spoilers for me, but if you guys are interested, you should totally see it. Personally, I think it's better than the first one. I might do a video too explaining my thoughts on that if you guys are interested as well. But anyways, I've been talking long enough in this intro. Let's just jump right into the tutorial. I went ahead and did this eye off camera. I am getting ready right now to go to an engagement party, so I don't have a ton of time, so that's why I went ahead and did the majority of my makeup off camera. Can we also talk about these shades really quick? These are beautiful. I'm so obsessed with these. I think they're great. We're taking the shade Win to start, and we're taking that on a fluffy brush. So this is a Morphe M433 brush. I'm picking up a generous amount on that brush, and I'm going to start right in the upper portion of my eye. Again, if you touch your eye, it's just right where your brow bone starts, so kind of right in this area. So starting off light because I want the majority of the pigment to be right in that little area, and then when there's less pigment on the brush, that's when I'm going to start blending it outwards. And I'm just very lightly touching my eye. If I turn to the side, you can see the pressure I'm using. It's not very intense. It's like barely touching my eyeball when I am blending this out. And you can always go in later and build up this color more. I feel like it's better to start off with less product and build it as opposed to going on with too much product at once. That is harder to blend out. That's blended out as much as I would like. I also do have dry eyelids, so sometimes it creates it looking kind of patchy, but that's just my eyelids. I don't know if you guys also experience that, but sometimes when people apply eyeshadow and it goes on like perfectly, I'm like, how do you do that? And then I remember, oh, it's because my eyelids have texture, and they're not the easiest to work with sometimes. Okay, but that seems like a good amount of that color. Then I'm picking up the shade Warm Hugs. It's this nice purpley kind of mauve-y color, and it's in the bottom left-hand corner of the palette. I'm basically going to place that in a little more concentrated area, but basically in the same spot, kind of in the outer upper portion of your eye. And I'm just using this color to create more depth, and they look beautiful together. Even though there's like purples in this palette, I feel like they're not that cool toned, and they work together really nicely with the browns. So with this, I'm just going back and forth. I'm not really blending it outwards because I really want to build up that color in a more concentrated area. I'm also, again, going back into the palette a couple different times to really build up that color, so I'm not going all in with the pigment all at once. Now it's time to build up the color. So I'm taking the shade Autumn Breeze. It is one of the darkest colors in the palette. It's that really deep purple shade, and I'm going to use that right in the outer corner of my eye. I'm also using a different brush for this step. I'm using the Morphe M506 brush. As you can see, it's a little bit basically the same shape as the last one, but just smaller. So first, just like tapping into that, there's a lot of pigment on my brush, and then I'm just going to really lightly start working that in the outer eye. So as you can see, there is a lot of pigment, so I am being very careful. I'm almost more pressing this in first to build up that pigment before I go and blend it out. I've mentioned this in previous videos, but when you want to build up pigment, it's better to just tap it on and press it in rather than sweeping it. If you sweep it, it's going to diffuse the color. So if you feel like you got too much, it's okay to kind of work with it more and build it up. But if you want something to be pigmented, see how that's definitely more diffused now? I'll go back in and again tap that on and we have that pigment back. And I'm really trying to keep this into very small sections, basically where the base of where my eyelashes are. That's where I'm starting and I'm slowly building that up. Sometimes with darker colors, I find myself going out pretty quickly, so I try to just keep that as low as possible on the eye, knowing that it's very easy for me to get crazy and then blend in all different types of directions. So I'm keeping that very low to the eye. And then if I want to build out those colors and blend them together because they're looking a little harsh, what I will do is tap back into that Warm Hug shade with that first brush, and that's how I will blend it out. I won't use that same brush that I was using for the darkest shade. I will use the brush I was using before to blend out those colors. And since we're going to layer other colors, that's as dark as I'm going to get it for now. Later on, I may choose to build that up more, but for now, that's where I'm keeping it. Before going in with any of the shimmer shades, I'm first taking the Too Faced Glitter Glue. This is my favorite primer to use with glitters and shimmers. I'm using this first and placing that on my eye. So I'm just squeezing a little bit of that on the back of my hand. Then I'm going to take my ring finger, tap into that. Then with a little bit of the product on my finger, that's when I will go and put it on my eye. So I am just tapping that on and just going in that section where we haven't put any eyeshadow down yet. And just know wherever you put it down, the shimmer is going to be really, really pigmented. And it sometimes can make it look patchy. If you accidentally put it on top of shades like that and you try to blend it out, it is harder to blend out. So I would say don't put this, like I'm keeping it low and I'm not really placing it right along the edge because I'm going to want to blend in my matte shades with my shimmer shades. And because of the texture of it, it will make it really tacky and it'll be harder to blend out shades. So then I'm picking up the shade Earth, again on my finger, and I'm just popping that right on. And you can tell like it's very pigmented by using both the shadow with the brush. But because of my nails, I can't actually get into the inner corner, so I'll have to use a brush to apply that shade. And I'm mainly keeping this shade towards the inner corner area and then maybe a little bit like halfway. But I'm really pressing that on as opposed to sweeping it across because again, if you press something in, it gets it really pigmented. Taking a flat brush, I'm just going to get back into that pigment. This is a Luxie 245 small shader brush. I'm just going to again press that into the inner corner to get the spot where my finger couldn't get, but you can kind of tell the difference because just the oils in your hands definitely make shadows more pigmented than brushes can, at least in my opinion. So once we've put down the Earth shade, we're going to go in with Adventure. Also, I don't think I mentioned it, but this is the Earth shade and then this is Adventure. And just pressing that on. Going to go a little bit over where we have the matte shadows in the back here. And to blend it out later, I'm taking that dark Autumn Breeze shade back on top of it to kind of help with this kind of spottiness that we're seeing. And see how it kind of looks harsh there? What I'm going to do is lightly go over that Earth shade, very lightly, to kind of help blend those two together, like that. And then what I'm going to do again is pick up that Earth shade on a different finger though, so they're not too messy, and go over it again. So where those two meet, I'm kind of just lightly layering them on top of each other to diffuse it and make it look more seamless, which can be kind of challenging using two contrasting colors like these two. So just kind of lightly going over that. I mean, you can also hide that line with the glitter anyway, so it's not going to be as intense, but I feel like that looks pretty good and you can't really see much of a line like we did before. Using the brush that we used for the Autumn Breeze shade, I'm again picking that up, and this is where I'm going to layer that on again to make it really pigmented and kind of help diffuse that color in the outer corner area. But again, I'm really concentrating that in the outer corner. I'm not going to blend that upwards too high. I'm keeping it pretty low. And then when I see that there's a harsh line here, I want to blend it out. That is when I'm taking the other brush because I don't want to blend this dark color too high. Now picking up a little bit of the shade Warm Hugs on that first brush to blend out those colors. And there is a little bit of follow, but I will clean that up afterwards. I'll take a little bit of wind as well, just to kind of get back that shape. This is why you want to keep it a little bit low in the beginning, because if you need to correct it and blend a little bit more outwards, you have the room to do so. I do have a dry patch right here, which is why it's kind of looking like that. So it's actually, again, just the texture of my skin, not necessarily the shadows. For this next step, I am using the Elsa palette. If you do not have the Elsa palette and are wondering how to create this with the Anna palette, what I would recommend is using Warm Hugs. That is the shade that's like a light purpley shade. And then also the shade Autumn Breeze, which is the deep purple shade. I would recommend using those instead of the two colors I'm using. So use Warm Hugs for the light blue shade, and then use Autumn Breeze for the dark purple shade that I'm using underneath. But these are sisters. I feel like they belong together, which is why I'm using both of them in this eyeshadow look. So I'm picking up the Elsa palette next. And I'm tapping into the shade Water here. In person, it looks a little bit lighter than it does on camera. It's a beautiful periwinkle color. I'll be using the shade Water, and I'll also be using the shade Spindrift as well. And I'm picking that up on the Thrive Cosmetics brush. This is just an eyeliner smudge brush, which is perfect for under the eye. It's very dense and helps get a lot of pigment. So picking up Water first. So just kind of like smudging that along. And I'm really trying to keep this as tight to the waterline as possible. And again, I would use the shade Warm Hugs from the first palette if you just wanted to stick to that palette. So I've covered the entire under eye area with that water shade. Next, I'm digging into Spindrift. It's a really nice, really rich red maroon shade. I love it. And for this, I am starting where I want this to be the darkest, which is towards the outer half of my eye in this very back corner here. I am going to start to move that forwards, but I want that to be the darkest here so I can create that ombre effect. So it's very pigmented, so be very careful. And this is the shade I would use Autumn Breeze for if I had just the Anna palette. So as you can see, it gets very colorful very quick. So I'm just kind of lightly tapping that in. And then starting to slowly bring that towards the middle. I'm not bringing that all the way in. I'm just bringing that right towards the middle. Maybe a little bit down. I'll also kind of just pat that in towards the outer eye area, just to kind of blend those colors together. It is a little bit darker than Autumn Breeze, but that's how I merge those two together, is I'll start with the lighter shade and then go into the darker one on top of that. But it creates a really nice ombre effect where you can still see that blue peeking through, and then it blends really nicely when you have the darker shade on top of it. Our very last step is if you want to add the glitter. So this is what it looks like with the glitter. This is without the glitter. I honestly think it's fine without the glitter. You wouldn't even need to use the glitter. But if you want to see how I apply the glitter, this is this next step. I will say too, it does say on the packaging that this glitter is not meant for the eyes. When I used this the other day, it was really hard to get off. I think it's fine using it on the eyes. I have no problem with that. I think they do say that though, because there are some pigments, like in the Norvina palettes I've seen before, there are some pigments that are not meant for the eyes, but that's just because they will kind of stain your eyes a little bit. I think they're fine. I've never had an issue with them, but just know it's not meant for the eyes, meaning that it's not fun if you get in your eyes, and it's also hard to get off. So I'm going to use it still on my eyes. I am very careful with that, but I just did want to warn you guys in case you didn't want to use it on your eyes. You can just use it just like this. It's fine. Like, I think this is beautiful without the glitter, but I love glitter, so I'm going to go ahead and do that next step. I just wanted to let you guys know that's the deal with the glitter. It's not meant for the eyes. I just grabbed a little bit more of the glitter glue primer, and I'm also taking that on this flat brush again. And then I'm using that to kind of just layer it on. I'm mainly concentrating this towards the middle part of my eye. So I'm just kind of lightly pressing that on, keeping it low again. This will add just a really nice base before we go in with the glitter. So again, just kind of keeping that right in this area. It's gonna start to muddy this up a little bit, just because that's what happens, but you're not gonna see that because you're gonna have the glitter on. So doing that first, and then I'm using my finger just to pick up the first amount of this. So then from there, what I'm going to do is just put that on right in the middle like that. Press it on, and then once there is less glitter, that's when I'm going to move it outside of that center area. But as you can see, once I put it on, it doesn't really move a whole lot. So that's when I'm picking up a little bit more on the brush to kind of fade that towards the inner corner. I'm not going all the way into the inner corner. I'll go a little bit outside of that into the purple as well. I really don't want to go above my crease. I kind of messed up a little bit on this side, but I'm trying to keep that a little bit low, but that's what it looks like with on. Actually, this is the best I've done so far putting this on. So I think the trick is to really keep it low and to really be intentional when you're putting that down, not just like swiping it all over, but thinking about I want to keep that in the middle, pressing it on, and then using the brush to kind of lightly start to fade that out towards the inner corner and the outer corner of the eye. So now for the rest of it, I'm going to just pop on some black eyeliner just to kind of make my waterline stand out more and pop. I'm going to put on some false lashes. I'm using the House of Lashes Iconic Lashes, and I'm also using a bit of mascara underneath. I just use the Better Than Sex mascara. I feel like it looks amazing. So I'm going to go do that off camera really quick and come right back to show you guys the finished look. The lash glue is still drying a little bit, but this is what it looks like all together. I absolutely love popping on false lashes. I just feel like it really cleans it up. Very glam, very intense, but I love it, and I feel like it's super fun for fall, like for a very, like a holiday party. I'm sure those are coming up if you want to do something for that. I feel like it's really easy overall, as long as you just take the time to do all the different steps, and all together it creates a really fun, colorful glam look. And that's it. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you liked it. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and also give it a like too if you want to see more tutorials using this palette. Also, let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Are you going to get this palette? Were you already planning on getting this palette? Do you already have this palette? I honestly had no idea it was even coming out until a couple days after it had launched, and I'm really glad it wasn't sold out. I absolutely love it. I feel like for the price point, it's a really good deal, and I just feel like they're so cute. I love them. I really like these palettes. It's probably my favorite launch from Colourpop, if I'm going to be honest. In the past, I haven't been super crazy about the Disney ones. I mean, I've liked them at the time, but once the like hype goes away, I haven't found myself like wanting to play with them again. But these, I absolutely love. I feel like they're the perfect size, they're the perfect amount. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the palettes. Thank you guys again for watching this video. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you later. Bye!